coming through here, seeing all of the burnt, damaged structures and trees and everything, it's really sad. There's quite a bit out here that is totally burned, totally dead, and there's no chance of survival. There's maybe 1 or 2 species of trees that are actually built to tolerate fires out here. That's why we're seeing so much dieback. And so it's really up to our experience and our knowledge as arborists to come in here and decipher, whether or not these trees, whether they be green right now or not so much, whether or not they can play a part in the ecosystem in the years to come.
What happened last year is just devastating. I mean, our forest was absolutely devastated. These communities were absolutely devastated. My mission isn't to cut trees. My mission is to make a safe corridor for the public to be able to use. It's giving some place for people to start and rebuild.
As a summertime job, got on with Oregon Department of Forestry fighting fire as a wildland firefighter, and kind of just fell in love with it. It definitely ties you to what you're doing, and what you're protecting is, you're not there just doing a job, you're protecting someone's livelihood.
When I look at a tree, the first thing I'll do is I'll look at the crown, how much of the crown has been scorched and lost needles. I'm not looking at kind of those little branch stubs that might have been dead before, but looking for those kind of fine twigs, where they started on the stem of the tree, and what proportion has been lost. If it's kind of on the edge, the next thing I will do is walk up to the tree and look at the base of the tree, both looking at parts where the bark has been so burnt that it's lost its original character, as well as looking at signs that the tree may have been compromised from below, like where maybe the roots have burnt out underneath, kind of factoring in all of those things, including the growing site a little bit. Is that tree in a really good site protected by other trees, or is it on kind of a marginal site to begin with? And using that as the assessment process for whether a marginal tree has a likelihood of surviving or has more of a likelihood of dying in the next 2 years or so.
The bottom line is, if a tree can't feed itself, it's going to die. And fire is one of the main things that will kill off that feeding source, that food source for the tree.
Some trees, the needles or the leaves might still be able to function independently, but over time, the sugar produced at the top is not able to travel all the way down to the roots. So if it can't transport that back down to sustain itself, it will die over time.
As a forester, we're always thinking long-term longevity, which I think has helped in this project of not thinking about a tree and looking at it of how it's going to look tomorrow or next week, but thinking a year from now or a year and a half from now, the next big ice storm that comes through, what's it going to do to this tree, this landscape as a whole, and then how we want to move forward and preserve this landscape, but also shape it in a safe way for everyone to use.
I'm surprised at the number of passes that go through a site. There'll be the initial environmental assessment, looking for wetlands or streams, flagging those special areas of concern off. Then there will be a historical research sweep through where all the archaeologists are looking for things of culturally significant value or archaeological value. Then the initial arborists will go through and mark the trees that need to go based on the project specifications. Then Mason, Bruce, and Gerard arborists will go through and do quality control on those sites. After that, the work order is typically opened up, so the tree fellers and the contractors go in there, and we'll go in once again with them as they're doing their final work plans. All in all, we're talking 5 or 6 passes through by people of different expertise or experience levels before the trees are actually removed.
Everyone has a role to play, and everyone's input and experience has value to each tree that gets painted and marked.
I'd say the most satisfying part of the job would just be to go home every day and know that you've You've done ethically sound work.
A lot of people working on this project live in these areas, they care about this land. They not only live here, they recreate here, they drive these roads. So it's important to everyone here just to do good by the state and each community.
I would tell the general public that the work we're doing is extremely difficult, but also extremely necessary. You know, we're balancing the needs of trying to do this work with scientific accuracy and preserving the environment as much as possible, while also trying to open up these sites so that people can get back to normal, can get back to recreating, can get back to building their homes.
What a good day looks like is when I can show a property owner, work with them through the process, and she's like, thank you for what you've done, and close this chapter in what's happened as a result of the fires.
It's going to take some time for this place to heal, for it to recover, and I really want to do anything I can to speed that process.